Afternoon. I'm Gordon Burns. Welcome to North West Today. The headlines this Monday lunchtime.
Open the door now! Open the door!
Arrests as police raid the homes of suspected rioters across Merseyside.
We're determined to bring those people responsible for this serious disorder to justice.
Prescription addiction. We investigate why tens of thousands of people across the North West are hooked on legal drugs.
And Aintree agrees changes to the Grand National circuit to protect horses. But will the race suffer? Merseyside police have arrested more people suspected of involvement in last week's riots. They raided several homes in the Toxteth and Dingle areas of Liverpool early this morning. Our chief reporter Dave Guest went along with them.
A rude awakening for this household in Toxteth.
Open the door now! Open the door!
Police arrived early this morning in search of a young man believed to have been involved in last week's disturbances.
This morning we're executing a number of search warrants in the Liverpool area, predominantly for people who we believe were involved in violent disorder in the Smithdown Road area on Tuesday of last week.
Their target was led away in handcuffs, arrested on suspicion of violent disorder. 3 others were picked up at addresses in Dingle and Toxteth this morning. So far, more than 200 people have been arrested on Merseyside since last week's trouble. This morning's raids were based on information provided by members of the public who recognised faces on CCTV images released by the police. The police say new names are being put to faces each day. And this is where officers have been working their way through around 800 hours worth of CCTV and video images.
What my task is at the moment is to identify an offender who's on the screen. We've got a male who's wearing a blue jacket, a grey hoodie, white piping down his tracksuit trousers. There are other cameras and I'll look for him inside. It's very laborious, very time consuming. I've been looking at somewhere in the region of 4 minutes of video footage for 2 days.
This wasn't the first raid on homes of suspects and it certainly won't be the last. Dave Guest, BBC North West Today, Liverpool.
In Manchester, police say they have now arrested a total of 243 people in connection with the riots. 157 have been charged with offences. Courts in Manchester and Salford have been sitting all weekend. Last week, the Prime Minister told me he wanted to see swift and harsh punishment for anyone convicted of causing trouble.
Law breaking has to be punished, and I think one of the heartening things we're seeing now is because the courts have been sitting around the clock, we're actually seeing a much tighter timetable between getting your collar felt by a police officer, going to a police cell, appearing in front of a court and then being sent to prison. And I hope one of the learnings of the last few days is if we can have that sort of speedy justice, as it were, at this time, why can't we have speedy justice all of the time?
Prime Minister on North West Tonight on Friday. But have the courts gone too far? We've seen a youngster get a referral order for stealing a packet of chewing gum. Someone else got 5 months in jail for accepting a pair of stolen shorts. And anyone convicted of rioting will potentially be banned from Manchester shops for 2 years. Well, Tony Wilbraham is from Ollier's Solicitors in Manchester, who represent some of the people who are accused of taking part in last week's disturbances. He's with me now. Have the courts gone too far?
That's a matter of personal viewpoint, really. I'm sure some people will welcome the sentences handed out by the courts, but other people may question why if they have gone too far.
But is there a suggestion that there could be a bit of a knee-jerk reaction here? We heard the strong Prime Minister's comments. People themselves are saying, yes, throw the book at them, and that maybe it's not fair.
Well, that's our concern as defence solicitors. We try and obviously represent our clients as best as we can do. And sometimes we feel that the sentences may be on a bit on the high side. We're already getting queries about people wanting to appeal sentences that have already been handed out by the courts.
But presumably they are on the high side because an example has to be made and even more so a deterrent to other people. Otherwise this could happen again if they're soft sentences.
Well, absolutely, that's what they're doing. It's a deterrent sentencing policy. It's sending a message out to the public that this behaviour won't be tolerated. But my concern is that people will be kind of getting the same sentences when the roles are different in respect to their involvement in the riots or the looting. That's what concerns us.
Is there any suggestion that sentences are harsher in Greater Manchester than they are in some of the other riot areas like London?
It's difficult to say precisely whether that's the case, but having viewed the media, and seen sentences passed at Manchester, I do form that impression, but obviously I'd need to see more information to confirm if that's correct.
And as a solicitor who represents a number of these people who are up in the courts, presumably you would have a reason for wanting to see lesser sentences.
Oh, absolutely. It's our job to get as best a result as possible for our clients, and that's what we strive to do so. So we'll be keeping a close eye on all the sentences passed by both the magistrates' courts and the Crown Courts to see if they're appealable.
Toby Wilbraham, thank you very much for joining us.
You.
Thank you. The Blackburn Rovers manager Steve Keane has been banned from driving for 18 months after admitting drink driving. He was almost twice the legal limit when he failed a breath test on the M6 in Cheshire earlier this year. The 43-year-old argued there were special reasons why he shouldn't be banned, claiming his drink must have been laced. But a judge in Macclesfield rejected his claim. He was fined £1,800 and ordered to pay costs. An Oldham support group that helps people hooked on legal prescription drugs is calling on the government to fund more withdrawal services for addicts. The North West prescribes more benzodiazepines, a group of potentially addictive tranquilizers, than anywhere else in the country. Abby Jones reports.
Nitrazepam, diazepam, temazepam.
Mohammed from Royton was put on prescription drugs 16 years ago. He's never got off.
I've been doing a withdrawal regime and I've got my life back in the past 3 years, but I feel like I've been robbed because I don't remember the other years of my life.
In Oldham alone, there are over 5,000 addicts like Mohammed, hooked on benzodiazepines, tranquilizers that commonly treat insomnia and anxiety. Medical guidance is they should be given for no longer than 4 weeks. Yet many stay on them for decades, and there's just one NHS-funded withdrawal service in Oldham in the entire country. This support group says that's profoundly wrong.
We're ex-addicts doing this on a voluntary basis. Where's the NHS and the Department of Health in all this? You know, they should be pitching in, they should be helping out now.
Support groups criticise doctors for over-prescribing, but this GP says that's unfair.
I don't think GPs are prescribing them irresponsibly. All repeat prescriptions are monitored by general practitioners, and I kept on as to whether patients are actually using it.
The Department of Health says it will now hold a meeting with experts to discuss how to help addicts like Mohammed. Abby Jones, BBC North West Today, Oldham.
Changes are to be made to the Grand National course at Aintree after 2 horses died at this year's race. The famous Beecher's Brook is to be levelled off. The height of other fences altered, and the pre-race parade could be shortened to improve safety. Stuart Pollitt reports.
This year's Grand National delivered a popular winner in Bala Briggs, but it came at a cost. The horse finished severely dehydrated and was too exhausted to make the winner's enclosure. Worse, 2 other horses, Dooney's Gate and Ornay, died during the race. The Grand National Review Group, which consulted the RSPCA among others, today released its review of April's National. It recommends levelling off the famous Beecher's Brook and the first fence, reducing the height of the 4th fence, and it's also considering shortening or removing the pre-race parade in hot weather and introducing a new post-race washdown and cooling off area for horses.
And now they approach Beecher's Brook for the first time.
The heat has been on national organisers to improve safety. Aintree boss Julian Thick says these changes will do that, but it was impossible to completely eliminate risk. Stuart Pollitt, BBC North West Today.
2 people from Manchester have been charged following the discovery of a body in a suitcase at a house in the city. Police were called to Victoria Street in Openshaw last Thursday evening following reports of a burglary. 32-year-old Tracy Hurrell and 50-year-old David Hardman from Openshaw have been charged with murder. Police in Wirral are continuing to question a 50-year-old man on suspicion of murder. 41-year-old Anne-Marie Clearly was found with stab wounds at their home on Orside Drive in Wallasey on Saturday afternoon and died later in Arrow Park Hospital. An empty house, which was taken over by South Lakeland Council because the owner refused help to bring it back into use, has got a new tenant. It's only the second time in 7 years that legislation allowing the council to take over management of a home has been put into action. The Manchester City manager, Roberto Mancini, says fans shouldn't expect too much too soon from his team. City kick off their Premier League campaign against Swansea tonight after another summer of big spending. But with the Blues still chasing other targets, Arsenal's Samir Nasri is thought to be top of the list. The boss says now isn't the time to judge their title credentials.
We can talk about this when we buy all the players that we need, when we complete our squad, because at the moment it's not complete.
And there is full coverage of that game on BBC Radio Manchester this evening. And now, she is back. We welcome her back. Here's Heather with the weather.
Thanks very much, Gordon. Hello there. Well, this morning, some of us had a bit of a grey start today. There was a little bit of sunshine around, but some showers as well. And this afternoon, it's going to be mostly dry, and we'll see those sunny spells increasing. So as we head through this afternoon, the clouds are going to break. We'll see some really nice spells of sunshine knocking about. 1 or 2 showers just for parts of Cumbria, but I think for the rest of us, it's largely dry and bright until this band of rain starts to approach as we head through this evening. The winds are fairly light, and top temperatures in that sunshine feel fairly pleasant at around about 18 Celsius. Now this evening that band of rain will start to push in. It moves from southwest to northeast. 1 or 2 heavy bursts on there, particularly for the western parts of Cumbria and possibly for the Isle of Man, but you can see it clears the more southern parts of the region as we head towards dawn tomorrow, just leaving 1 or 2 showers knocking about south of Liverpool and Manchester. The winds overnight, they pick up a little bit, temperatures getting to 12 or 13 Celsius, so it's certainly going to be a mild night, milder than it has been recently. Now as we head towards the end of the night and dawn tomorrow, we're going to start to see some mist and some fog forming. Some fog particularly across the hills, but I think anywhere we could see some mist forming. That's going to be around tomorrow with a pretty grey start to the day, with this rain on and off as we head through the morning. That rain continuing in places as we head through the afternoon, and gradually we'll see a slow improvement as we head towards tea time. Still 1 or 2 showers knocking about, temperatures getting to around about 19 Celsius. And the rest of the week, well, it stays changeable. We are going to see some sunshine, still 1 or 2 showers to come. Gordon.
It's a bit the same as before you went away, really.
A little bit. It tends to follow me around, Gordon.
And are you relaxed and refreshed?
Yes, thank you, I am. How about yourself?
Well, not so bad at all. Not much has happened since you've been away. It's been fairly quiet. That's it. I'm back with it's Annabelle tonight at 6:30, so join us there.